Okay, let's. Hopefully this is recording well and the audio is working and all that other stuff. Let's talk about how a working society would work right now. No, let's talk about how it works right now. So how it works right now is we have technological suppression. So one of the first things that you'll see in dethatching a conspiracy is the declassification and implementation of technologies, and in a way that does not make the public too volatile. Right now it's a little overdone. Okay, so what will end up happening, what ends up happening now is that, maybe somebody, this is maybe one person who even knows about hydroelectric cars. Let's just use an example. I don't know what kind of suppressed technologies there are that are out there, because you have to understand this video is probably going to be titled something about currencies, because the reason that we have such a strong need for centralized form of currency, and they call it the Petrodollar for a reason, because what necessitates its value is its capacity for getting you your energy resource. However, if you make energy sort of more readily available and available to local communities, and when people were saying that was basically a conspiracy, it was basically the reason, it could have freed the people. Now, Obama campaigned on it, and nevertheless, Obama did nothing about it, predictably, was being set up for an eventual takedown so that people who brought it in could pose as saviors, etc. Well, now we're about to have like a legit sort of occurrence, hypothetically speaking. This is just hypothetical. Anyway, the current way of doing things, what ends up happening is that somebody might come to their elected official and go, hey, why aren't we getting off of this nasty centralized form of currency? I'll just cut that out. Why aren't we getting off this nasty centralized form of currency when, we could get off of oil reliance? And, not to say that there won't be any more oil or any more gas. Sure, that, there's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff. But why don't we also have the potential for using hydroelectric powered vehicles? This is an example. I don't know about it. I think it was around since the 70s. Okay, why not? Well, basically the individual, maybe the elected representative actually might look into it. Okay, so the elected official will be like, well, what do you know about it? Well, I know that they had one produced one time, blah 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 here. Well, he might try to investigate, and let's just say he goes personally to this other state, other county, and goes to this individual who may have invented or produced or whatever a hydroelectric powered vehicle. Now this person's probably compromised or whatever, anyway, that you're about to see. He'll go, hey, I heard you got one of those hydroelectric powered cars, and then he's like, oh yeah, it's just, then this guy's going to be it's so complicated. Secretly, this guy's either thinking something's going to happen to me if I talk to him, or I've got this whole capitalistic sort of game plan going on of how I'm going to totally bank whenever I finally give this to the people. There's like, basically that's kind of what's holding stuff back. So he's super secret, he's trying to take advantage of it the most he can, and this elected representative's like, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden, the elected representative wants to get crony, so he's going to be like, hey, why don't you let me in on what we could do with that technology? And then, or if he pushes a little bit too hard, it's like tap tap tap. Okay, so good job, everybody. That's such an efficient method of being human. You know what I'm saying? Okay, total gangsterish BS. Like, obviously would not do that sort of thing if people were watching or whatever. I don't know what drives it, but anyway, that's what does. Well, let's say obviously you wouldn't elect somebody with such stupid dispositions like that. Well, anyway, people do, and for whatever reason, and I'm not going to talk about that. Anyway, so let's say you switch up the way that you elect your representative officials in a way that I'm not going to say on this video, unless maybe you're one of my core audience members, then you already know. Suddenly there's massive amounts of transparency, there's plenty of concern and communion and openness, and like they're elected, so you can go to them with your video, and they're like, yeah, video me doing the right thing because I want votes, and I want to be held accountable all the time, because I really want to go up the hierarchy of, responsibilities, whatever. Well, somebody goes to that person, hey, maybe even with the amount of attention, 10, maybe 100 people who know what's going on, go to that person all around the country, and they say to their elected representative, and in fact they're campaigning on it, I promise to listen to your concerns and also consort with my local elected representative officials and do a good job of raising your concerns and handling it. I promise to do such a good job at that, and not just, I'm going to champion for this stupid cause, or I'm going to champion for this stupid cause. Alright, we're talking about possibly getting off of the a single centralized form of currency that everyone's printing at infinite that's shady as hell, and getting off of, total gas reliance of like totally funding, other nations that we don't even agree with what they're doing and stuff like that. Okay. So what ends up happening is your elected official at this point is like, okay, I promise to do all of that, and then 100 people come to that person and go, hey, you know what, they have these, I've got this proof, I've got this video or whatever, that they definitely have hydroelectric powered vehicles. They're being produced in some place in Illinois. Can you please investigate this further? This could have huge implications for our personal lives. Everybody's involved. Everybody's very involved, because it's their entire personal life is about to just get a whole lot better. Okay. So then the elected official goes, yes, I promise. They may even assign people, but I would rather they just, all right, videotape me. I'm going to get on the phone. Okay, hello, girlfriend, and or whatever in Illinois, in that county in Illinois. My people are coming to me. She's probably getting blasted with phone calls. That you got some factory, or you got some guy in your county that apparently knows how to get us off of, how to produce a hydroelectric car. Let's say it's the same guy. Let's say he's either compromised or shady. Or let's say the whole county's compromised, or the state level or whatever. Well, you've still got every other county in there. There's just way too many people to compromise. Still got every other county. You got every other person, and they all know about the issue, because if you can't get to that direct person, then call the other counties. You know what I mean? Shine light on the issue, and hold him accountable. Essentially, I mean, he doesn't have to. He's got freedom of speech, but just be like, why didn't you bring this forward? Or because I like to talk about like as though we can just move on. So why won't you bring this forward? Well, it's all mine, and I don't really want to. It's like, but it'll save a whole bunch of people. And then the guy hopefully will either feel bad or not want to be associated with the satanic pedophiles that are running the country, or he will probably, probably at that point he's just going to come forward and everybody's going to get it. Okay, but this is an example of how democratic the government is supposed to work. The government is supposed to be a democratically elected person that is supposed to listen to everybody's concerns and act accordingly. You know what I mean? Like, there's supposed to be the First Amendment at the very least. Right now that's not in place, whatever. Now let's just talk about volatility. Let's say they have hydroelectric powered cars all over the country. Let's start with technological volatility. No. Okay, so what ends up happening is the guy goes, okay, here's how to do it, and here's what the factory looked like or whatever. People may even get assigned, okay, here, send in 12 guys. We're gonna really, let me assign a team of people to. This is going to affect, like, how currency works and stuff like that. this team of people really want to design the most efficient factory for producing these cars, and then all around the country in different states and different counties, people are like, okay, who wants to engage in this venture of producing hydroelectric powered vehicles? I do. Okay. Oh, you do? Okay, here you go. Because the way things currently work, banking is kind of like that, but it's being run by a bunch of crazy people. Well, not crazy people, but just like people who apparently did not do this. So, it's like, okay, you can do the job, well, here's the loan, and you just consequently have to pay me back, whatever. All right. So, anybody can issue currency. That needs to be said. You need to know that. If there's no government restrictions telling you have to value a certain currency, I'm not going to do this. I don't want to do this. I could just be like, okay, I'm going to write a bunch of signatures on pieces of paper and start distributing them somehow where people can't counterfeit it. Well, that's currency. You know what I mean? You bring it to me, I'll give you a leaf out of my backyard, something like that. And I owe you a leaf. Well, or whatever, it doesn't matter, you know what I mean? Well, consequently, who do you think people are going to trust the currency? So what I suspect will sort of organically happen is a local layerized currency. People are going to be a little bit xenophobic to, just people who they don't know. Like, there's going to be an allergy to wealth without reputation, wealth without some kind of pre-existing favor or pre-existing knowledge of just how much that person deserves that, you know what I mean? Because that's how it's supposed to be. Like, it's supposed to be based on merit, based on reputation, whatever. Localized layered currency. Anyway, what happens is, who wants to build a factory? Which one of our counties really wants to do it? Well, we really want to do it. We got plenty of people wanting to do stuff. Anyway, there's going to be way more than the hydroelectric powered car to do, okay? There's going to be a lot of stuff. I mean, there's going to be like, well, I want to build a mag rail launching thing that puts people into orbit, or I want to build a space elevator. I want to build a mag rail that gets us around the country, or I don't know, man. There's just a million things that'd be really great to have, that could be implemented, but people just are just slothfully being forced to do it like slaves. Well, this is all about incentivization. So what ends up happening is said people are just looking forward to doing it. Hold on, having brain fart. Need to think. Oh yeah, so we get rid of that centralized form of currency through alternative forms of energy and stuff like that. And volatility of the public. Let's just say, oh, I'm going to make a name for myself by over-harvesting the trees on my land. No offense to people doing that. Well, the community complains, hey, he's going to turn this place into a desert. This is just an example. This is an example of how, overrun capitalism, basically, and why you want your government to kind of keep the private sector in check. And then they're like, don't do that, please. Don't turn our place into a desert. Let's just say they're crazy. They want to salt the ground or something like that. Well, then, there might be need for, government intervention. Or, hey, in my hydroelectric powered car, I've got this really great, efficient piece of tech, and there's a chance that while you're driving it, it'll blow up or something. It'll hurt you. So volatility of the public, and then technological volatility. And then somebody comes along and says, hey, what he's building is going to blow up. You need to look at my invention. And then people get behind him, and then they take it to their elected representative, and the elected representative is like, nope, we don't want things blowing up. You can't do it. You know what I mean? So that's an example of, good government intervention based on popular accountability. Everything is going to be about popularity, basically. So, what's next? Just hardcore rational stuff the whole time. Not this fake narrative. But it'll be like everyone getting rational in a controlled way, like not everyone getting rational and going gung-ho, independent, I'm gonna become a tyrant or a king and fix everything. Instead, it's kind of like this, we've got this like nice popularity hive mind thing that's able to, I mean, because it's also got this PR, it's kind of like, why would you, you know, it's so practical and innocent, and, you know, why would you hurt that? You know what I'm saying? Kind of thing. Oh, that's what I was going to talk. So, technological volatility. But then there's also, you know, private life volatility. Let's say you give everyone a bunch of hydroelectric cars and they're just racing around the country, doing whatever, conspiring or ramping off stuff because there's so many cars, or I don't know. I mean, you can think of all kinds of things that if you just gave people a bunch of toys, and then there would be a problem. Well, at that point, they might then look at the way government will handle it again. There's too many people ramping cars off of this countryside and whatever, like wasting cars or wasting their lives or whatever. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to put up some kind of guardrail, or we're going to tell people they can't do it or whatever. You know what I mean? I mean, the point is to, you know, cut down on such radical behavior that may be damaging or whatever to the public interest, without, you know, going so far as to like be totally violating everyone's rights and stuff like that. I mean, there certainly, I think, would not be any need for the sort of privacy invasion that we're going through right now. But you know, let's say somebody is a convicted sex criminal. You know, do they have their privacy invaded at that point? Yeah. I mean, like if you can, I mean, I don't know if you can prove it really well. I mean, you certainly wouldn't want that person to do everything he can, like they've already done in the past, to be able to carry out his whatever. Anyway, you kind of see where I'm going here? I mean, like, you have to really reimagine. You have to really reimagine what it will be like when things work. Okay. Anyway, that's just an example. These are projecting. These are huge issues right now. These are currencies. These are people with like tons of fluff and wealth that are trying to figure out, where do I want to put it? You know, well, where you need to put it's right here. Okay, where you need to put it's right there in your local community, because those are the things. What you need to do is put it right here. What do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that, or what you need to put it into, is just doing what's right. Hopefully, we'll have some kind of way of looking at things where everyone's just thinking, hey, let's just make things more awesome. You know, I don't need to, because I don't blame people right now for thinking about law of the jungle, because that's what it is. Or, you know, I need to worry about protecting my interests from outside forces that are all over the place, because that's the way it is. Everything's really jumbled and screwed up right now. It's so screwed up. Think about the way I'm talking about now, and think about the way I just said it was. The way I just said it was the most hyper craptastic way you could probably possibly think of it. Did you see how see what happened when he tried to get us off of oil reliance? You know what I mean? Like, that's happening. So this other way is just going to be like awesome. I mean, I imagine just the culture is going to change into this like wonderful consortium. Is that a word? Consortium? Anyway, here we go.